Finally, let's take a look at the 223 Remington cartridge, or the 5.56 by 45 NATO, and we'll try to answer the question, what first round hit probability do we want at the target distance? In the 300 to 600 yards range, we have the AR-15 or the 223 bullets. They are between 50 and 100 grains. And let's focus on the G1 ballistic coefficient. So they have 0.4 ballistic coefficient measured on the G1 scale. They are flying at 2800 or higher, even 3000 feet per second. They have a muzzle energy of 1300 foot-pounds, or even less for the smaller grain bullets. And the recoil, it's very, very small, and they are very, very cheap. The downside is there is not too much energy, and they are basically running out of steam very fast. If anything, I would call this 300 yards bullets for the 223 and maybe 600 yards for the 6.5 Grendel. For this, I picked a scene from the Lone Survivor movie where the team is using their Mark 12 Mod 1 SPR rifles in 5.56 to engage the enemy. Let's watch.
Marcus, move! Movie. Motherfucker.
Looking at the 223 Remington, it's one of the most popular short-range military cartridges, and it's being used in the AR-15 type rifles. It's effective for approximately 400 meter shots with the heavier bullets, so the 77 grain Sierra Match King. They have a G7 ballistic coefficient on 0.190. However, they are becoming transonic and less than 300 foot-pounds of energy at around 600 meters. So 223 is not really a long-range cartridge. It's actually a short-range cartridge with the 55 grains, and could be stretched to a medium range with the 62 or 77 grain bullets. Let's look on the right side. I have modeled all the way up to 1000 meters. The ballistics, however, anything above 600 meters or so, we are in the transonic zone. The energy drops tremendously. So while the modeling tells us some of the shots are doable, in reality, it's very hard to hit anything past, let's say, 1000 yards with this cartridge, and even past 600 yards. It's also very difficult to hit targets. And even when you hit steel at more than 500 yards, it's actually very hard to even hear that you made a hit. I have modeled again the wind at half 0.5 miles per hour, muzzle velocity at 5, and the rifle shooter ammo precision at 1 MOA. And under ideal field conditions, with this heavier bullet, kind of the best case scenario, we could hit 600 meter IPSC targets with 100% probability. However, you can see as we go past 800, it starts to drop, and the modeling tells us 70% at 1000, but realistically we are way past the transonic zone at that point, so actually the probability is probably even less. You can see the horizontal uncertainty driven by the wind, and secondly by the rifle, and you can also see the vertical uncertainty where the muzzle velocity, rifle, range, pressure and temperature are all playing a factor. And this is now the simulation, the shot simulation. It's a 70% hit at 1000 meters on the IPSC target, and you can see in the end that majority of the misses are due to horizontal dispersion, so basically wind. I have eliminated the 36-inch circle target because it doesn't make sense for such a small cartridge, so I topped it off at 24-inch, so I modeled the 6-inch to 24-inch circles. And the graph now goes only all the way up to 1000 meters, and under ideal field conditions and best case scenarios, these are the probability curves, and definitely it's a very anemic hit past 400 meters from this cartridge. If we can look now at the 223 Remington at 1000 meters, and we are comparing the probability of hit and the horizontal uncertainty, putting them side by side, you can see basically that the wind has the biggest impact on the uncertainty, so the wind has a very big factor for this caliber when it comes to missing horizontally our target. This is another example how important it is to actually have precise range to target and to call wind appropriately. I'm comparing here the IPSC target or the 10-inch target at the different combinations of wind accuracy or range accuracy, and you can see that even at 300 yards for a 10-inch target, if we have the wind at 5 and the range at plus minus 50, our probability of hit is only 65%, and at 400 yards it's 30%. So even at short ranges, it's very important for this small kind of anemic cartridge to have the right distance and the right wind calls.